This might ruffle a few feathers, especially if you've been doing a glute bridge, a hip thrust, or similar exercise a particular way for some time, to find out that I'm going to show you how to do it this way. So please be open, please try it, and then assess how you feel. Now, what you need to know before going into this is that a muscle works best when it can lengthen and when it can contract. However, if we keep a muscle in a chronically shortened state, it's not going to be able to have the same force transmission. It's not going to be able to recruit the same amount of muscle fibers. It's going to be suboptimal. You wouldn't walk around the gym or your home gym, wherever you're training, and work your biceps and only pump this far, right? You'd go all the way down and come all the way up. So the same thing happens with our glute bridge. If we want our core muscles and our glutes to work, they need to be able to lengthen and then contract. So our setup is extremely important, which means we need to be optimizing our technique so that our pelvis and our rib cage are aligned in a neutral position. Now, important for you to know, neutral looks different on everybody, but there are certain principles. You will feel them in your body when you're neutral, when you're posteriorly tilting, when you're in an anterior tilt. Now, important, a neutral position is a little bit more of an anterior tilt. It's not anterior tilt that's lost complete control. It's just a slight anterior tilt. And this is enough so that you have a good balance between the front and the back body. And I'm going to show you how to do this, which will hopefully clear up a lot of noise and hopefully help you feel stronger in your core, your glutes, your whole back body. So let's get into it. Grab a mat or a towel, lay on the floor. It doesn't matter. Let's do this. So the first thing I'm going to share with you is that if you've been doing a glute bridge, a hip thrust, pelvic curl, whatever it might be, you might be curling your pelvis, squeezing your glutes right away, and feeling really tight in your core. This is what I'm talking about with that whole concentric or living in that tight, shortened state. We want our muscles to be able to relax. So that means when we're down on the floor, I want everything to feel soft and jiggly. Do not tense anything. What we actually want to do first is maintain an alignment between our pelvis and our ribs. So that means this whole time I'm going to do the exercise, I'm not moving here. This is staying put. I'm going to go up and down, and I'm not going to curl my pelvis, because when I'm in that neutral position here, my transverse abdominis, which is 360 degrees, is in a favorable position to work and support me. Additionally, when I'm in this position, my glutes are relaxed here. When I come up, my glutes lightly squeeze. When I come down, my glutes lightly relax, rather than tensing up and staying tense this whole time. So relax everything, soften it up, hold your pelvis, hold your ribs here. Keep that space the whole time you come up and down. If you have any doubts about this, think about when you walk, you're not overly moving this area a lot. Very minimal movement is happening. And a glute bridge is essentially an exercise that helps you build up to being able to do a squat, to be able to do a deadlift, to be able to do a lunge, or whatever it might be. And you're more or less neutral in majority of those exercises, and also when you're walking. So it's so important that we actually train our body to be able to be strong in neutral. It's not just for muscles, it's not just for looking good, it's for life. So from here, if you can actually hold these two, feel that stability here, I want you to think about pressing through your feet. Rather than squeezing your glutes, tightening up your core, stop all that. Just press through your feet. Exhale as you come up. You'll feel your exhale naturally tighten up the rib cage, but don't exaggerate it, just do it enough. And then inhale, as you drop down, you'll feel tension release. And then press through your feet, exhale, blow out lightly, and then inhale, coming down, everything starts to relax. So if you feel when you do this, it is not comfortable, or maybe you feel that you cannot maintain a rib to hip connection or that neutral position because your ribs might pop out, and then you might think, well, that's why you have to curl your pelvis under. Don't worry, there's options. What you can do is you can grab pillows or put yourself up with some other props to put your body on a bit of an angle, because oftentimes what's happening at the rib cage is also stemming from what's happening in the upper back, neck area as well. So giving those areas a little bit more of a support actually alleviates that, so then your rib cage and your pelvis is in a much better position. So to help you with this predicament, I'm gonna share with you a few alternatives. You can grab a rolled up mat or pillows, and you're going to place it right around here. You might need it here, you might need it a little bit higher. I'll let you decide. And then you'll notice that your rib cage and your pelvis is more or less in a good alignment here. You're gonna just feel softness in your body. You shouldn't feel like everything is tight or pulled. It should feel easy. And then from here, you then go hold that area, the pelvis and the ribs, and exhale. And then inhale, come down. You can start to see the idea. I don't have to over tuck my hips in order to do the exercise. Next, grabbing a ball. Another really popular option and also one of my favorites, which is really good if you feel comfortable using a ball, because it also gives you a little bit of support and comfort, and it allows your glutes to stretch a little bit further because we're dropping down. So the beauty of gravity. And also, if I just want to emphasize this, if you are worried, oh no, I have to modify, there's a problem with me, don't worry. A lot of us have to modify in the beginning. Over time, your posture and body adapts, and you might need less props, less things, and you can just do something flat on the floor. But keep in mind, some of us might have gone through surgeries, have injuries, or there might be special considerations. So there's nothing wrong with using a prop, and sometimes props just like work better. So enjoy it. So in this case, I'm using the ball, it's putting me on a little bit of an angle. Already, I'm feeling my glute stretch. Hence that, I'm talking about let that muscle relax down. So feeling that length, this is good. And now I'm gonna just keep my head here for a bit of support because I know I can keep that control here, but for you, you might have to maybe have one hand here, one hand on the back of your head. And so press through the feet, come up. And then notice I'm neutral. My glutes are still working. I'm not overly tucking or overly contracting. I'm just doing what I need to do. And then come back down. Inhale, relax, exhale. Now, moving on to this arc, but this could also be like your couch, or it could be some other prop that you might have at home, but I just wanted to use it as an example, because sometimes examples help, right? So like this, like this. And as you can see, sometimes the issue might not be so much that you need to move the pelvis more. We might have that from here to here issue that we need to address. Super important to know that if you feel back pain when doing this, one, maybe try self-massaging your abdominals a little bit before just to relax, because these muscles might be in a concentric state full time, always super tense, and we need to let them let go, because when they let go, air just kind of goes straight to the hips, and I like to think of that as like a pillow, which makes the lower back and hips feel better. Additionally, if you have back pain, we might need to consider, are you actually pressing from your feet? Are you exhaling correctly? And also, do you have a tendency to take really big inhales? And because then that's just gonna overlift your rib cage, which is gonna make it harder for you to concentric phase of the exercise. So you might need to relax your whole nervous system before doing the exercise. Just do some light, calm breathing and then start, and train yourself to take little bits of air in rather than big bursts of air in, and then just lightly inhale and exhale as you go through. And lastly, another really common thing is the thighs. A lot of the time people are doing it and their thighs are out here the whole time. So you wanna make sure that when you're doing your glute bridge, feet parallel, your knees lightly in alignment with the second toe. So that doesn't mean out here, that means here. And then as you come up, it might go out a little bit, but then goes back down, a little bit out, and then a little back down. So it's just a subtle movement, and I feel like that's a topic for another day, but just something to pay attention to, because if you feel that you don't get that stretch at the bottom here, that could be why. And in some cases, you might need to then just you might need to bring the knees inwards a little bit more and start with that narrow stance, and then work maybe on widening it after, or just when you go a little bit narrow, you see how small your hips actually are. Sorry, they're not as big. You don't have big hips. Don't worry, they're smaller than you think. Right when you put your hands right at those bony parts of your hip bone, put your thighs right there, your knees in that position, and then you see, that's quite small. And then you might feel a stretch in the back of your bum or lower back. Yeah. And then from here, come up, thighs abduct slightly out, and then inhale back down, thighs go inwards just a tad, not to cave in, but just a little bit to kind of like go back home. And then again, practicing with your feet. And okay, I lied, one last thing. Not everybody is going to have the same height of hip extension right away. There's also other things to consider which might make you not go as high. So do not stress. Just focus on these tiny little details to start. If you feel good, great. Over time, you'll feel better and better. Ooh, last thing I think I really wanted to mention before was back pain. It is normal to feel your back working to some degree. So hoping that there's no difference between the right and left side of your back at the moment, because sometimes that's a separate layer, separate element. But just in general, when you're using your body and your hips and core in this way, you will feel your back stabilizer muscles working. So if you've always heard soften your back all the time, that could be suboptimal advice, because when you walk, when you run, you will have some form of lumbar extension. When I'm walking down the street, as an example, I'm gonna have some lower back curve here, okay? So just imagine when you're flipping your body in different positions, that part of your back's gonna have to work, and it just might not be used to that. So take it one step at a time, incorporate this and see how you feel. And remember, just focus on those tiny details if things don't feel well. And of course, as well, you can always comment below any questions, and I hope this helps.